Hello, hi, I am Manish. Today in this lesson, we will learn some basic of HTML5. Following are the topics which we will be covered in this lesson. Some introduction about HTML4 and 5, features in HTML5, markup languages, programming and markup language, minimum system requirement to use, version of HTML, some history of HTML, difference between HTML and HTML5, features of HTML5, tags which are removed and modified in HTML5, HTML documents, some tags and attributes, and finally some HTML elements. So let us see in detail about this content. First, before going to the HTML5, let us understand what is HTML5. As you know, HTML5 is the newest version of HTML, only recently gaining partial support by the market of a web browser. If you know, this is our latest version of HTML4, which has been modified and brought new tags and created multiple things. And if you see, it has been incorporated a new features earlier version of HTML, including XHTML. And also they had added a diverse set of new tools for the web developer to use it. Going forward, it is still a work in progress. Many modern browsers have full HTML5 controls, but many of them are still in progress. A older browser like like Internet Explorer 9, less than 9, will not support the HTML5, which is still in progress. With some plugins or with the help of the CSS3, the developers can make it to work in HTML5 to be worked on the older browsers. Now, going forward, let's learn about HTML, some history, some knowledge, just rephrase of HTML4. In simple term, a web page or a HTML document is a plain text file that has been coded using hypertext markup language, which is also known as HTML, so that it appears nicely formatted in a web browser. Here, let's see what HTML means word by word. As you see on the first bullet, on the first sub-bullet, if you see hypertext, text that you click to jump from document to document. This is a reference to the ability of web pages to link to one another. It means when you click on a text, it jumps to one document to the another document, which has been linked to each other. So now this is not a document linking, it is a text where you write a tag or you write a line of a text where it says to the web browser of a web page that a page needs to be linked from one page to the one document to the another document, which displays on a web page. That is known as hypertext. In the second sub bullet point, you will see that is a markup tag that applies layout and formatting conversions to plain text. Literally, the plain text is markup with the tags. In short, if I like to explain, it means we take some text and we make it with we create that as a tag. For example, as you had learned in HTML4 that every HTML starts with tag, which is like open braces and the close braces. Under that we write a plain text which is known as, now for example, if I want to link it, then I can write a link, open bracket and a close bracket, and we'll close that link. So this is any word which has been markup, and we create it and we align the entire formatting of a text by using a plain text is known as markup tag. Now the final bullet, if you see, that is the language, a reference to the fact that HTML is considered a programming language. Now if I say in detail, it's an language. Now it's a part of a HTML language. It's an a language which is considered non a programming language, but in some case it says it is a programming language. It's a partial correct. Going next, a first developed by Tim Berners-Lee in 1990s. Now still its year has to be confirmed. No one like says that it's the 100% in 1990s. So the Tim is the person who is the first developer who has been brought this HTML language into the picture. Then it has standard markup language for creating a web page. The person who uses HTML or HTML5, it has the extension which when you save a file, when you write a code by using a multiple tags, and when you save the file, the extension of the file takes as .html or .htm. Going forward, constraints of a series of elements which tells the browser how to display the content. Now, in this, when elements has been combined, when we write a number of elements using a tags, then it into the a plain text, it says to the browser to display the content with the formatting as we had written into the tag itself. Going next, the elements are represented by tags. All the elements we write into the program as has been written in the tag itself. In coming to the next slides, you'll be seeing out for some examples with the outputs going forward. HTML tags label pieces of content such as heading, paragraph, table, and so on. It means that there are many things, like we uses heading, we uses paragraph, we uses tables, we uses form, and we uses images, and there are many tags. The whole things has been written into the tag basis. In short, if I want to explain, the tag will not display into the browser. It is written into the backend on a plain text, like using the notepad or using a Note++, or there are many tools in the market. There are many tools which you will find out. There are some open sources tools, and there are some license version tools where nowadays you can easily design, or you can easily write the tags in under that, and you can render that content, and you can save it to the .html, and you can see the output into the web page itself. To see the output, you usually need a browser to see the output. So here till here we had seen what HTML4 was, some history about the HTML4. Now going forward, now we'll be learning about HTML5. Now what is HTML5? How it has been born? How it has been came up through the HTML4 to the 5. Here again, this is a markup language for the structure and presentation of World Wide Web contents. Now this is even HTML4 and HTML5 has been made for the internet pages purpose. It is for overall, it is for World Wide Web content display or the presentation. You can say that it's the structure of presentation, you can say, on a internet websites. It also supports all existing web pages with HTML5. There is no requirement to go back and revise older websites. Now, if I like to say again, this is something where you don't need any requirements to go back and revise older websites to do it or to change it. With the help of the HTML5, you can change the older websites to the existing web page by changing some tag changes. Going next, it also reduces the need for external plugins and scripts to show website content. It means you need for like how HTML4 usually needs the external plugins, and you to present any animations or videos or audio for media purpose, you usually definitely the developers needed some plugins to present that media files onto the web browsers. But for HTML5, that is the greatest advantages. Here we don't need any external plugins to to run the tags. It's HTML5 itself, it has its own tag which we can easily use it and show the contents or show the media files on a website. Makes the rendering of a web content universal and independent of the device being used. Like you can render the entire content which takes a less time, which takes a less consume of times, and you can see the entire content universally and independently to the device by device. Like you can see the output on any device by putting some standard codes of HTML and by using the CSS. With the help of the CSS, with the help of the JavaScripts, with the help of the uh, Bootstrap, using this all, you can see the output in a multiple devices also. It also handles web documents errors in a better and more consistent fashion. Like you can easily, if you want to handle some errors or if you want to handle some documents which are like database or some media files or some images, you can easily handle it on the web page itself as per the user requirement. Going further in a more depth, if I would like to explain, HTML5 again, this is a latest version of HTML markup code. Now it's, you can say the code or you can say the language or you can say the program. This both are none of the same. Now if we say this as a code because this is like we a number of tags, we use the number of tags in line by line, and we open the tags and we close the tags. That's why we say this as a markup code, the code used to render web page text images, videos, and so on. In web browser, softwares like Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, Safari, and Firefox. There are many browsers in the market. It is easily available on the internet. You can easily download it and you can see the output. Just you need some even you can see the output offline also. Once you are perfect to write the tags easily, then you just need a browser which are listed as it has been listed. Going next, it is also used for all browsers type of computers device include a desktop, laptop, tablets, and even a smartphones. All other mobile devices also you can see it. It is published, updated, and maintained by the W3C standard. Now, what W3C is? It stands for Wide Web Consortium. So, so if I like to say, you can see the output in multiple devices as it has been listed. You can see on a desktop, you can see on a laptops, tablets, smartphones, or any other mobile devices you can see it. You just need to publish it and you can need to just open it on your device. Output can be seen very easily. And next, it says that it is been released as a stable Web3C recommendation. It reached official status with formal rectification by W3C in October 2014, 28th of October. Thus makes the code of choice for creating web page. The W3C, it has been a standard where they had said that they made the stable thing where a code can be created on a web page some using some standards. Now let's see some new features in HTML5. HTML5 has new semantic elements, includes a few content specific elements like header, footer, article, navigation, which we call as a nav, and a section. Also we have forms 2.0. 2.0 is a version. In HTML4 also has a form, but in HTML5 we have forms 2.5, 2.0. HTML5 incorporates improved version of HTML web form which introduce new attributes for input tags. In forms you will be getting out many input tags like username, password, and many more you will be seeing on. HTML also supports a persistent local storage without the need to depend on third-party plugins. Like for HTML4, we used to depend on a third-party plugins. Like if you want to include any media files, then you need to put it use with the help of the Flash or any other tool or any other plugins. But in HTML5, we don't require any third-party plugin. Next, you can also include or you can also build audio and video support. Video is used, you can play your own, you can create your own player and you can play your any videos inside the HTML or inside the browser, which you don't require any plugin. And same goes with the audio. Next, it also now It also supports the CSS3, which is a higher version or the latest version of CSS. Now, in short, CSS, CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. This is the higher version, which is a CSS3. Now, going more, we have WebSocket, which is a next generation bidirectional communication technology meant for web application. It is also a server sent event. HTML5 brings in event called server sent event, which is we call SSE. Follows from the web server to the web browser. We have one more a best feature which is called a canvas. Now canvas, if you see, uh, if you browse any latest websites on an internet, you can see there are multiple games, or you can see there are platforms where you can drag and drop, or where you can draw your own sketch or anything on a web page itself. So you don't need any external plugins to be get added. For initially for HTML4, we used to take a help of Micromedia Flash or any other plugins. But in HTML5, they has own canvas tag where you, with the help of JavaScript or without the help of JavaScript, you can create your own canvas and you can make it flexible for the designers. For the gaming purpose also it is used in many ways it can be used. It's a new element that supports two-dimensional drawing and can be programmed with JavaScript. Audio and video HTML5 allows embedding audio or video on web pages without the need of using any third-party plugin. Going next, HTML5 also supports geolocation. Tagging enables visitors to share their physical location via their web application. So if you see, when you open any browser or any website or anything, it has their own, it asks you the permission to enable the geolocation. So that came up with HTML5. With the help of HTML5, it can track your location and it gives the exact accurate location where the current users are. Moving next, like more advanced future for web developers, like we can store the data online plus the offline usually we used to do that, but now data can be stored with the help of data storage online in multiple applications. Next, you can use drag and drop facilities where from one location you can share your one location images to the different web location, which is the best feature. So again, we have a microdata. This feature allows you to extend your application page custom semantic by creating custom vocabulary beyond HTML5. We have new form controls like calendar, date, time, URL search, like goes on, many more. Now, let us understand what is markup language. Here, it says a markup language is a combination of words and symbols developed from the purpose of processing the information which gives instructions on how a document should appear. Like if you had seen in the HTML4, many tags has been written in a such a way that easily we can understand by word or a symbolic presentation in a tag represented. So developer makes the process or developer writes the tag or the code by using the editor like Notepad or Note++ or many more. So he writes the code or he writes the language in such a way which are like it's a word or a symbol. It gives a instruction or the information to the user plus the web browser to process the information how it presents on the web page, how it needs to be represented on a web page. Next, we see like HTML and XML are the important markup language. So in HTML5, the XML also has a very good role to make the best advantages for the HTML5 or the HTML4 also. Next, we'll see the programming and markup language, the difference between programming and the markup language. First, like we'll understand what is programming language. A programming language provides a set of commands and syntax that can be used to write computer programs which are understood by the computer, compiled by a compiler or interpreted by interpreter, when used to give instruction to a computer to perform particular task. But in markup language, it defines a set of rules for encoding document in a format that is both human readable and machine readable, like interpreted by browser, where in programming language interpreted by the interpreter, used to present the information. Markup language is always used to present the information. Let us understand what are the system requirements for the HTML5. One, you need a text editor to write the markup language. Like as we discussed earlier, for example, you need a basic text editor which is Notepad or Node++ for Windows and TextMate in Mac. Like initially you know that for every editor you need a operating system. It could be Windows, it could be Linux, or it could be Mac. For output, we need web browser, for example, Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, Safari for Mac. Before going forward, let us understand the history of HTML, how it has been born or how it has been came in the picture. In 1989, Tim Berners-Lee, working at CERN, finds the need for a global hypertext system. Then in 1991, Berners-Lee shows his hypertext system named HTML to the scientific community. In 1991 to 1993, various name users developed HTML. Then going next, in 1995, Microsoft's Internet Explorer developed JavaScript initially released. In 96, in 1996, CSS initially released, which we call that cascading style sheet. Then in 1999, HTML 4.01 released. In 2004, WHAT-WG, which stands for Web Hypertext Application Technology Work Group, start, started HTML5 development. In 2010, Steve Jobs published Thoughts on Flash. In 2012, HTML5 became a Web3C candidate recommendation. So this is what a journey of HTML starts from 1989 to current, which is going on. Now, let's see the difference between HTML and HTML5. In HTML4 and in HTML5, there are many changes or there are many difference has been seen up. Like in HTML4, uses the cases of the browser as a temporary storage, but in HTML5, it provides us a various options such as SQL database, web storage, and application case for storage. In HTML4, audio and video integration in web page is difficult, where in HTML5, it has their own tags and it makes it very easier to integrate the web page by using a video and an audio tag. In HTML4, works well HTML in old browsers, but in HTML5, it still won't work on an older web browser. So works well in new browser, also supports the old browser. In HTML4, supports vector graphic using another technology or plugin, which is external plugin. But in HTML5, vector graphics are an integrate part. So we can easily integrate the vector graphics into the HTML5. In HTML4, it's difficult to include and handle multimedia, but in HTML5, which is upgraded, it is like easy to include and handle the multimedia graphics. HTML4 does not support geolocation, where in HTML5 it supports geolocation. HTML4 uses cookies to store temporary data, but in HTML5 it uses SQL database and application keys to store online data. Next, we can see we'll learn tags which are removed from HTML5. In HTML4, the applet tag was displayed in a web browser, but in HTML5, in order to display applet type item, a new tag has been invented, which is object tag has been introduced in HTML5. In HTML4, acronym tag that was used for displaying abbreviation in a web browser, where in HTML5, a new tag which is ABBR tag has been introduced in HTML5. Now we'll learn a modified tags in HTML5. In HTML4, the HR tag was used to draw a line, but in HTML5, functionality of this HR tag has been changed and it is used for defining a thematic break in the web page. The anchor tag in HTML4 is for referring to a link, but in HTML5, anchor tag is used only as a hyperlink. But if the href tag is removed from the A tag can be used as a placeholder for another hyperlink. In HTML4, schema attribute was used in meta tag. Like meta tag is defined in the header section of the HTML document and contains information about the data. In the previous version of HTML, this tag was used to contain an attribute called schema that defines the schema of the document, where in HTML5, schema attributes removed from a meta tag in HTML5. So these are something where we had learned some tags removed and tags modified in HTML5. Now moving next, we'll see how the HTML or HTML5 has been documentation or be documented in a tag wise. All HTML documents must start with a document type declaration, which is open parenthesis, exclamation, and document type HTML. So this is a tag where this tag defines which type of document we are going to use in HTML. So next, the document of HTML itself begins with HTML and ends with HTML tag. So if you write in HTML4 or HTML5, the tag has been the same. So you need to start with or you need to begin with HTML and you need to end with HTML. The visibility part of the HTML document is between body tag, which is like body and the close body. Now we'll understand some tags. What are tags or how it is used? Like HTML tags are element names surrounded by angle brackets. Like angle bracket, if you see the which is in your keyboard, if you press shift a lower bracket or the two, it's a lesser or a higher, greater than tag. So we need to write a tag name inside that angle brackets. Then it goes a content, whatever you need to display. Then you need to close the tag. The tag which you just started, the tag that needs to be closed with the forward hash. Then HTML text normally comes in pairs like p tag, which is open and which is closed. Then the first tag in a pair is the start tag. The second tag is the end tag. The end tag is written like the start tag, but with a forward slash instead before the tag name. Next, we'll learn the HTML elements. The following is an example of a basic HTML element with an attribute, value, and the content. If you see the element or the example below, where in the red it is a it is an element start tag. Now, if you see href is an attribute where the link, which is http www.google.com, is a value. Then a start is the start tag has been closed. Sorry. Then you can see a name to where the elements needs to be get named. An elements needs to be displayed on the screen, which is the element content. Then the tag, which needs to the element tag needs to be get closed. Like it, we call that as a element ending tag. Now let's take a look on elements. The elements which are used for HTML. An HTML elements usually consist of a start tag and the end tag with the content inserted in between. Inserted in between. Like for example, a tag name, content which you need to write, then a tag needs to be closed. The HTML element is everything from the start tag to the end tag, which we call the entire line, which we call is an element. For example, here is the tag where we had used a p tag, which is used for paragraph tag. Inside you can see the text, which is my first paragraph. Right? Then the p tag closed. The HTML element with no content are called empty elements. Empty elements do not have an end tag, such as a br tag, which is also known as br element, which indicates a break line. Next, we learn the attributes in HTML. All HTML elements can have an attributes, which are like attributes provides additional information about an element
Attributes are always specified in the start tag. Attributes always comes in name value pairs like name is equals to double quotation value. Then in attributes, the HRE of attributes, HTML links are defined with the A tag. The link address is specified in the HRE of attribute. The title attributes provides additional tooltip information. The HRE attribute provides address information for link. The width and the height attributes provide size information for image. The art attribute provides text for screen reader. Next, we'll learn the HTML headings. What are HTML headings? The headings which we use to write in different which are a predefined headings. Like if you see, headings are defined with from H1 tag from H1 to H6, which are the heading tags. H1 defines the most important heading and H6 defines the least important headings. It starts from H1, H2, H3, H4, H5 and H6. H stands for heading and 1 stands for the size of the heading. It goes on. Headings are very important. You can just need to write H1, open tag and close the H1 tag. By using this, you can define the heading for your document on a web page. Moving next, we see some more tags like HR tags. Like in HR tag, HTML horizontal rule. The HR tag defines a thematic break in any HTML page and is most often displayed as a horizontal rule. To use that, you need to just write a HR in a open and close bracket. The HR element is used to separate content or define a change in any HTML page. Moving next, we learn a paragraph tag. In HTML, we use the paragraph tag by writing a P in bracket. Defines a paragraph tag. If you see anywhere the P tag, it is known as a paragraph tag. If you write any paragraph into the document, then use P tag. The browsers automatically add some white space, a margin before and after a paragraph. So P tag has its own properties where it gives automatically adds some white space or the margins before and after the paragraph for the browsers. For example, if you see, we had created the P tag in the notepad, P tag open, then your content. So this is a simple sample content, which this is a paragraph. Then again we have written a P tag, this is another paragraph. So the output of this you can see here, which is in the browser you can see this is a paragraph, the output, and this is another paragraph which is the output of your input what you have written in the notepad. Next, we'll see an explanation of a code, what we write in an actual code for the notepad. On the first line, the doc type HTML defines the document type. The second line, the HTML language is equals to EN, which is into the bracket in the double quotation. So that is a root element of an HTML page. EN stands for a language, which language you are using on the web page. There are multiple languages you can use, a Spanish, Russian, like many. You can go on. You will get a best for any language change. You can define over here. Then below that you see the head tag, which has been opened and after 2 lines the head tag is closed. So it contains documents meta information into the head tag. What are the metadata you want to define? You need to maintain or you need to define into the head tag. Like if you want to give the title, then you need to mention into the head tag. For title is a tag where a title displays on of a page, which is like here for example title hello world, and the title has been closed inside the head tag itself. Moving next, a body tag. A body tag comes after the head tag, which is again it's a open tag, open and a closed body. So body contains visible page content. But whatever the content you need to present on your web page, you need to write under the body tag using a multiple tags, which is like h1 open tag, and in under that we are using the heading tag, which is a larger, which is h1, which is hello tag. Hello world is a content and the tag is closed. The h1 tag is closed. Then we had used the paragraph tag. Under that we had written this is a web page and the paragraph tag is closed. So if you see at the end the HTML tag has been closed over here. If you see the output over here, this is whatever we had written a code or the tags into the notepad. The output of this appears onto the web browser. Next, for another example, which you can see over here, where on left side you can see the notepad with the tags, and the right side you can see the output of your example, which is abc.html. You have written a title, which is my first HTML5 page, which has been gone onto the title of your web page, which has been present my first web page. Then under body you have written HTML5 is fun, which has been displayed on the first line. HTML5 is fun. So like you can write go on. Moving next is HTML5 a doc type. What is HTML5 doc type? HTML Under HTML5 we see the first line a doc type. The HTML documents type is the first line declared in the document and tells the browser what version of HTML is being used. So a browser understands with this line what document we are going to use it. Next, in HTML 4.01 had multiple doc types, as you can see below. In HTML5 has also only one simple doc type. It has only one simple doc type, which is open bracket exclamation mark doc type HTML and close the bracket. Now let's learn HTML5 semantic and structure elements. Under this, we'll introduce some numerous new elements to aid in property structure HTML5 documents, which are like article, a standalone piece of information, section is a text for chapter, header, which is used for header information, you can say that is introduction. A footer is for information, again for footer information, which is for copyright information. Nav is nothing, stands for navigation tools used for a website. Figure tag is a structure element for figure and tables. Next, we'll learn the HTML5 video tag. In this is a newly introduced tag for HTML5. If you use a video tag for HTML4, then it won't work. So this is for HTML5 specially works. So this tag allows for the browser view of the following videos compression. Our support videos are MP4, OGG and WebM. Going next, even attributes include like width, height, which specifies the size of the video player, and next a source. For source, we are going to use a SRC. Then for controls, which is control attribute is shows into the control to show controls for the video. Autoplay attribute is to start the video as soon as possible, and loop includes the automatically replay the video upon completion. If you see over here on the screen, on HTML5, a video tag compression browser capabilities. Under the table, you can see the multiple things on the browser which supports or which don't support. Next, HTML5 video syntax, how we are going to use it. You can take this example where it has been given the height, a file name, the width, height, and the controls. If you don't need controls, then we can remove the controls and we can close the video tag. Now let's see the HTML5 source. In this, the source tag or the source element is used to specify source file for the audio and the video elements. This allows for multiple sources for one video element, where you can see the syntax below. Here, the syntax where you can see the video tag, under that where there's a width, height, and the controls, and the source are like we are adding a three different source files, like example.mp4, which is type video, which is mp4, and then the second source is example.webm, which is a video file, which is an webm file. Then the source file, the third is which is OGG. These are the extensions which we are going to explain it. And the type is video OGG and the close video tag. Let's see what HTML5 track has. The track element allows for the text tracks to be loaded into audio and a video element, where if you see the syntax below, the source syntax are video width 320 like height, then the control. Under that we give the source, which is like example.mp4, then the type, define the type, which is video mp4, then the track, then the source. Under the track tag we write source example.fr.srt, then the source language, then the kind, which is a subtitle, then the label, which is French subs, and close, then the video tag closes. Next, we'll see what is HTML5 audio works. In this, the newly introduced audio tag allows for the in-browser playback of the following audio compression, which are MP3, OGG, and WAV5. Many of the attributes included in the video elements are also available for the audio elements. Next, if you see the HTML5 audio compression browser's compatibility, where in the table you can see the MP3, WAV, and OGG. For Chrome, Firefox, Opera, Safari, and i9 Plus. Below you can see the HTML5 audio syntax, which is like audio src is equals to example.mp3 width, define width, height, then control, which should be autoplay, then the close the audio tag. Next, we'll see the difference between HTML5 multimedia versus Flash. HTML5
Let's see pros and cons. Where for HTML5, standard markup language, cross-platform, access to DOM and APIs, and no third-party plugins. The cons are no built-in full screen, not all users use HTML5 ready browsers, long-term limitations of standardizations, cannot display live streaming, new standards can be difficult to adopt. Where in Adobe Flash, the pros much wider user base, very familiar. Cons are third-party plugins not supported on some devices, not a web standard. The HTML5 extended forms are like data list, which is used to allow auto-completion in any input with a given list of autocomplete options. And next is required. The required attribute forces the user to enter in data for the input before committing the form to the server. Next, we see the output. The output element allows for calculation and output of the calculation using form field. Next, you can see there are new values have been added for the input elements, type attributes. Like below you can see the date, time and the date time. Displays date time picker. Number displays a spinner from input a number. Email, URL, telephone. These types of inputs among others are used for data validation. Range displays a movable slider to specify values. Color displays a color picker for choosing color values in Exa. In HTML5 graphics and animation, HTML5 allows for the rendering of graphics and animation in the browser. Only HTML5 accomplishes this in through the new canvas element. Excuse me. Canvas tag creates a 2D canvas in which graphics can be drawn via scripting like JavaScript, WebGL, and SVG, which are supportable for the canvas. Next, we see a CSS3 is full supportable in HTML5 and improves on styling options available. Below are the list where skewing, rotation, and scaling can be done in CS3. CS3 allows for easily downloadable fonts locally stored on the web server. Animations and transactions can be coded using CS3. Page layouts can easily be done using CS3. So these are some of the features for CS3 which supports the HTML5, which gives a good styling option for HTML5. At last, I like to say that HTML5 improves semantic to web document, multimedia elements,